The Great Hall of Stmarys St. Alphonsus Regional Catholic School holds the treasure. It is the majestic two-story stained glass window that glorifies Catholic education. It also depicts the history of the United States in general and New York State in particular. The Great Hall was designed by world-renowned architect Ralph Adams Cram and was modeled after the medieval Westminster Hall. The window was crafted by Willett Stained Glass Studios of Philadelphia.
Creation of the Great Hall window took a long process. It is interesting to see one of the proposed designs that was not selected. It is also interesting to see the careful artwork of the selected design. Our window was designed by George Gugere in collaboration with Henry Lee Willett, who developed the iconography. In this photograph, George Gugere can be seen working on a small-scale cartoon of the window. John Aram Kevorkian translated these designs into the full-scale cartoons that were used to fabricate the window. The black and white images are photographs of the full-scale cartoons.
The Great Hall's stained glass window was first formally unveiled at the graduation exercises for the Stmarys class of 1932. As the graduating students of Stmarys St. Alphonsus class of 2016, we would like to share the story of each image of the stained glass window with you.
The bottom window to the left displays the image of Christopher Columbus, the Italian explorer who made 4 voyages across the Atlantic. In his hand is a chart and an astrolabe, which is an ancient navigational tool. The window also displays the shield of Columbus's birthplace of Genoa. The predella in the bottom frame shows Columbus gaining his commission from the Catholic monarchs of Spain and the Shield of Spain.
St. Isaac Joves is depicted in the second window of the bottom row. He is the patron saint of North America. He was a French Jesuit priest who did mission work for the Huron people, and he was the first European to see Lake George. He named it Lac du Saint-Sacrement, meaning the Lake of the Blessed Sacrament. 100 years later, the lake was renamed Lake George for King George II. He is often depicted in his canoe traveling across New York State.
St. Isaac Joves was martyred by the Mohawk Indians in 1646. The arrows at his side signify his martyrdom. He is depicted with a cross of Christ and a lamp of knowledge. In the predella, we see a buffalo and a wigwam, as well as St. Isaac Joves blessing a Native American.
George Washington, the first president of the United States, is depicted in the middle window of the bottom row. He holds the Constitution of the United States and appears before the Betsy Ross flag. A small scale appears in this window, signifying his early work as a surveyor, and is symbolic of the opportunities for youth that lie before them, despite their humble beginnings.
In that predella, Washington is depicting praying at Valley Forge. He is shown praying not for victory but for peace and to save his men. The armored red figure coming from the flame is symbolic of destruction, while the skeleton is symbolic of death. At the bottom of the window, one can see a cannon, the symbol of war. Above him is the hand of God reaching down to raise up mankind.
The fourth window in the bottom row depicts Thomas Dongan. He was the 5th colonial governor of New York. Dongan was a Catholic, a member of the Irish Parliament, and a Royalist military officer. He is known for having called the first representative legislator in New York and for granting the province's Charter of Liberties. Dongan's work establishing opportunities for education and justice are represented by the scales, lamp, and book which he holds.
The covered sword at his side indicates restored peace. Also in the window are the shields of Great Britain and the shield of Ireland. In the predella, Dogan is writing a treaty with the Native Americans on animal skin, and the Native American brave is offering him a pipe of peace.
In the last window, in the bottom row, navigator and explorer Henry Hudson is depicted. Although the Englishman never found an ice-free sailing route from Europe to Asia, he discovered the Hudson River. Depicted in this window is a Hudson ship, the Half Moon, sailing up the Palisades. At his shoulder is the Hudson Tunnel. At his side is the Shield of the Netherlands, as Hudson was employed by the Dutch East India Company at the time he discovered the river which bears his name. Below Hudson, in the predella, is a depiction of the Dutch farmers in New York with a windmill and the shield of New York State.
The middle row of windows and the great window depict different disciplines of education. The first window on the far left depicts art and is symbolized by a sculptor carving out a heroic head of the Man of Sorrows. A Greek column is symbolic of architecture, and a stained glass window is symbolic of the crafts. There is also an easel which is symbolic of painting. In the predella, Michelangelo can be seen painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, while His Holiness climbs up a ladder to compare Michelangelo's works to that of the drawings. The Shield of Oxford is depicted in this window.
The next window symbolizes science and depicts an astronomer, as astronomy is often thought to be the basis of all science. The astronomer holds a telescope. A globe and celestial chart are depicted.
In the predella, Galileo Galilei is seen dropping stones from the Leaning Tower of Pisa and watching the swinging of the sanctuary lamp, which helped develop his understanding of astronomy. The shield of the University of Salamanca is depicted in this window.
The middle window of the middle row represents literature. Note that the window shows the figure holding a mighty pen, signifying its superiority to the sword. The figure also depicts a victor's wreath over the figure's head. There are two small-scale figures which represent prose and poetry. The masks represent tragedy and comedy.
In the predella, Virgil is guiding Dante through Hades. The window shows creatures in the fiery stream and lost souls with heavy stones on their shoulders. Inserted in the background are symbols of purgatory and paradise, with Beatrice at the top of a rocky path to paradise. The shield is the University of Bologna.
In the fourth window of the middle row, philosophy is depicted. A figure is shown contemplatively studying humankind, represented by a small nude figure. At his side is a balance scale, and behind him, the testing flame placed atop a pile of books. We can also see the mirror of circumflexion, and overhead the owl of wisdom. In the predella, St. Thomas Aquinas, who is the protector of youth, is killing the dragon of false doctrine, which is trying to ensnare a child. The school is represented in the upper right-hand corner. We also see the shield of the University of Paris.
In the last window of the middle row, music is depicted, and a figure is shown vigorously ringing the bells of the carillon. Musical notes are scattered throughout the background, and overhead is a treble clef mark. In the predella, Gregory the Great is composing at the organ with an angelic choir to assist and a cherub to blow the bells of the organ. The shield of the University of Dublin is shown.
The first panel of the third highest row of figures represents citizenship. Catholic education, with its religious training, develops in youth the responsibilities involved with being a good citizen. The true citizen is shown rescuing his fellow villager from the clutches of the force of evil and greed, which is shown by the green figure. The true citizen is holding the fasces and lictor, the symbol of good and government, and we see the Liberty Bell in the background. In the predella, a student is shown receiving their first Holy Communion.
In the second panel of the third row, priesthood is depicted. The panel shows that Catholic education, with its religious training, prepares youth to hear and understand the call of holy orders. The candidate is shown receiving the bishop's blessing. The predella depicts sisterhood and shows a sister of Saint Joseph instructing a child. The middle window of the third row shows His Holiness Pope Pius XI on a throne delivering his encyclical on education in 1929. A microphone is shown at his feet since he was the first pope to broadcast a message. In the predella, Pope Pius X is depicted giving a papal decree to Cardinal Davao and Monsignor Canali.
The window to the right of the Pope shows parenthood. Catholic education, with its strict teaching of sanctity of the home, makes for better family life. A mother is shown holding a child, while a father is shielding them. In this window are the symbols of industry and a house. A mother bird is shown feeding her young. The predella shows a baptism. Some believe this depiction is the baptism of Father Gillian, who was the pastor of St. Mary's at the time that the school was designed and constructed.
The last window of the top row shows physical education. Catholic education, with its religious training, instills the mind of youth right living and the idea of strength to carry on the battle of life.
A baby is shown at the side of an athletic figure to indicate physical development.
We also see a discus thrower, hurdlers, and a trophy cup. In the background, a stadium with banners blowing is depicted. In the predella below, the need for cooperative action is indicated. The football game brings out the idea of team play, which is even more essential than individual stardom.
The 10 tracery openings directly above the third row of figures contain symbols of courses taught in the school. The first is reading, symbolized by a book. The second is writing, symbolized by a pen and quill. The third is arithmetic, symbolized by Chinese counters. The fourth is religion, symbolized by the Chi Rho, the first 2 Greek letters for Christ.
The fifth window is geography, depicted by the globe. The sixth window is history, shown by the hourglass. The seventh window is domestic science, symbolized by the tea kettle. The eighth window is manual training, with drawing instruments. The ninth window is office training, depicted by a typewriter. The 10th window is economics, depicted by a money bag.
Above the 10 tracery windows, the Blessed Mother appears in the left fleur-de-lis window, while St. Joseph appears in the right. St. Joseph is holding a saw and square. At the top of the window, we see a rose window in which shows our Lord and Majesty holding a sphere and scepter, with the world at his feet. There are rivers of life flowing down from him. The sun and moon are at his side, and above him, the 7 candles.
In a newspaper article that was published in 1932, Mr. Willett, one of the window's designers, said that his design purpose was for the students at the school to understand the stories behind the content of the window. He believed that one should be able to combine rich color with the story, and do so without sacrificing the story to that color. We believe that he was able to accomplish his goal. At the bottom is a Latin quotation from St. John Chrysostom, Qui negir quam odorare animis quam ado san tulorum fengere mare. The Latin quote means, what greater work is there than training the mind and forming the habits of the young? We, the students of St. Mary's St. Alphonsus, are grateful for all the training that we have received and all of the habits that we have developed as a result of the work of our teachers and parents. Most importantly, we are thankful to God for the opportunity to attend this wonderful school.